Now let's focus on pillar 3, boundaries. Element 3 focuses on ethical boundary violations. We work with victims. We are well versed in boundary issues, sexual boundaries, intellectual, material, emotional. There are so many more. We could spend 2, 3, 4 hours just on this slide, but we need to be mindful of those boundary violations. And what soft boundaries are you manipulating? What rigid boundaries where you say, nope, there's no exceptions? And what boundaries are you bending? You must keep your strengths right there at the forefront of your life. Put them into practice so you keep those boundaries. Here's something to think about. Did I use a term of endearment? Did I offer a client a ride home? Did I spend more time with a client than I usually spend? Am I comfortable writing this down, my violation and my boundary notes? It is critical that you think about your boundaries, because if you push those boundaries, if you violate those boundaries, after a while, you might move to alcohol and misuse of prescription drugs and oversleep and retail therapy and do all the things we talked about before that lead to secondary traumatic stress. So in your handout, you will see worksheet 5-2, staying in bounds, maintaining appropriate boundaries. And I give you an actual activity to fill out so you can keep your boundaries so you don't burn out and you stay in your job. Tony Gaskin says you teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. What are you reinforcing that's pushing your boundaries, that's violating your boundaries? You need to work on that. So will you work on that? In worksheet 5-3, I have a checklist of questions to ask yourself after meeting with a client. Now, this is not research-based. These 40 questions are based on my trainings of those who work in DAAETS and family courts and mental health and victim services. This is some of the questions that they said that they need to put on their sheet about boundaries. Was I unbiased? Did I say too much? Did I listen with my gut? Am I remaining objective? Did I overshare with a client? Did I accept a gift from a client? Did I let a client tell their story? Did I give a client money? Did I give a client a gift? Did I offer my own resources? Did I text too much? Did I call a client after hours? Did I over-identify with a family? Did I follow a client on social media? That's only about 10 of the 40 that I collected during that training. So I invite you to please, after today's webinar, to take this training manual to heart, review the self-assessments, and to review some of those questions. Jesse Norman said, problems arise in that one has to find a balance between what people need from you and what you need for yourself. So where are you on these rocks? Do you feel like you're the bottom rock and you're holding everybody up? Are you in the middle rock and you feel the weight, but you've got to stay steady for the people who need you? Or are you on top trying to hold the world together and just hope you don't fall off? See how metaphors work, analogies? It's exhausting. With that said, let's move to worksheet 5-1, boundaries. Again, you choose a strength, you think about how you put it into practice. Here are 3 that keep popping up. Determined. I know how to say no when I have to. That one is one that I'd say comes up one of the most in my programs. Self-control. I stay away from certain people. What's interesting is that when we're going around the room and people are sharing their strengths, when someone says, self-control is my strength and that's how I keep my boundaries in place, I see head shaking. Oh, I should have wrote that one down. Self-control, that's a good one. Or prudence. I know my organizational policy. I know my role. I know what I can do, and I know my boundaries in doing that.